what's really happening with people analytics in Latin America, and say where both of you are located. But Mary, I'll start with you just to make it easier. I haven't done one of these with two guests in a while, so this may have to knock a little dust off, but we'll make it happen.
The pretty ones.
I think that the future is bright, but we need to start running, no walking. I think that for the last years, we started kind of walking, trying to see what's happening in other parts of the world. And we need to start like trying to run so that we are not kept behind with all the technology that is available.
What makes Latin America interesting is that we're building the plane while we fly in it. So that is what is happening right now in Latin America. Most companies here don't have a data team. They don't have a dedicated people analytics function. So when I work with a client, I'm not optimizing an existing system.
Welcome to Directionally Correct, a people analytics podcast with your host, Cole Napper, and today's guest, Mary Nolazco, People Operations, Analytics, and Systems Senior Manager at IPSI, and Paola Alfaro, the founder at HumanWorks. Hey, Directionally Correct fans, this podcast is dedicated to you to help educate and entertain you on how to effectively bring workforce intelligence and AI into the workplace. If you're looking to stay connected to the podcast, make sure to subscribe to Directionally Correct Substack newsletter, watch videos on Spotify or YouTube, or listen to the podcast on your app of choice. If you're looking to build up your skills this year, sign up for the Data-Driven HR Academy at datadrivenhracademy.com, where you'll learn key concepts from Cole's book, People Analytics. And if you're looking to hear from Cole directly, reach out to him at colenapper.com. As always, all opinions are our own, and thanks for being a listener. You guys want to have the real conversation about people analytics in Latin America?
We do?
Yes.
Well, what?
We're ready for that.
What is the real conversation? Dish, come on, tell us what's really happening with people analytics in Latin America, and say where both of you are located. But Mary, I'll start with you just to make it easier. I haven't done one of these with two guests in a while, so this may have to knock a little dust off, but we'll make it happen.
The pretty ones.
And we will follow your lead. So you should tell us so that we don't overstep each other who should answer, or like who should you give the microphone to.
Yeah.
So in that way, we are going to be a little bit like organized on that.
Yeah, for sure. But Mary, you go first. Tell me what's going on.
So I believe that there is a lot of potential here in LATAM. I am located in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and we have kind of the same time zone for US and other countries, as well as having the possibility to have some intersection with the time zone in Europe. The thing is that as different companies have been having a lot of possibilities, I think that the future is bright, but we need to start running, no walking. I think that for the last years, we started kind of walking, trying to see what's happening in other parts of the world. And we need to start like trying to run so that we are not kept behind with all the technology that is available. So I think that the future is bright if we happen to do like a change on how we are with our speed on learning. I think on the people analytics space today, like having a descriptive analytics is kind of what different teams are willing to have or wanting to have. And I think that that is not where we want to go. It's not the goal for analytics. It's mostly like maybe the first step. And I believe that we can do much more better. The possibilities are there. It's a matter of like us utilizing those opportunities. So bright future, but it will depend of each of us what we do to get where we want to be.
Yeah. What about you, Paola?
I couldn't agree more with Mary, but to complement what she says, what makes Latin America interesting is that we're building the plane while we fly in it. So that is what is happening right now in Latin America. Most companies here don't have a data team. They don't have a dedicated people analytics function. So when I work with a client, I'm not optimizing an existing system. I'm building the foundation from the scratch. So and we have to help them to understand what is the foundation. So for me, that's the challenge right now in Latin America, and also we have to run. We couldn't, walk
Mm.
anymore and see what is happening in the world. We have to get on the plane right now.
Yeah. Well, just out of curiosity, like I'm assuming, I mean, I'm making a bunch of assumptions here. So you tell me if my assumptions are wrong. I'm assuming you guys probably didn't even know what people analytics was 5 or 10 years ago. And so how did you find out about it? And then how did you get into the field? And again, I'll start with you, Mary.
Okay. Um, Mine is a little bit different rather than others because I started working for Accenture in 2012
Okay.
ish, doing operational reporting for HR. So that is so weird because 2012, like I had like my clients where I needed to deliver like these different reports. I remember having to download some reports from different sources, use an access. That is giving like my age for everyone, but I utilize access to do all the ETL, and then I would put that in an Excel file. Then I run macros, and then I create a PowerPoint presentation. That was kind of my first approach to analytics. We didn't call it in that way. It was like global HR reporting, what I was doing. And one of my main reports was this one that was called HR Facts and Figures, that it was gone for, like we delivered that for a lot of executives. So I think that was like the first thing that I was doing. That was kind of a little bit back office as well, because I was working in Accenture like shared service center. So I became really strong on everything related to technicality, but that was my first approach. And then I transitioned to ExxonMobil, where I worked for HR and all the different projects related to data. I was in the data management team. I also like worked on the migration between some systems on the learning teams. So we were like really focused on that. But then, like slowly, the field name has been, like started appearing. It was HR analytics first, and people analytics, and now we will see what is going to be the name. But we had at that time also like really important stuff like Tableau, Power BI. Like we were in that conversation right now in that time. And I think that right now the combo is not there. Is what's coming, how we can leverage AI as well. What is going to be like the future dashboards? Are the dashboards going to be backend, and we are going to be using AI to ask questions to the dashboards? How are it going to happen on the future? So to sum up, like my journey to here is kind of different of other professionals on people analytics, but I'm really excited to see what's coming for us on the next years as well.
What about you, Paola?
Well, actually, when I start to see people analytics, I call them statistics or reporting. Back in, I don't know, 2005. So my aha moment came when I went to a conference, a Charm conference. I think was Chicago or Las Vegas. I saw in the agenda a topic. The name was "The Power of the People." It's a book, actually. It was my first book that I read about people analytics. So I went there, and the speaker was talking about how to convince the C level um, with data, and
Yeah.
how to organize the data, and have a governance and also a culture data driving. So I was like, wow, this pay my ticket. Because in that moment, the CFO of the company I was working for in Colombia, they were pushing me to, to get all the reports, all the dashboards and everything. But actually in that moment you have to, combine several Excels. And when I mean several, I mean a lot from different countries, from Colombia, from Brazil, from Peru. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do it like this. The number that he has was different for the number that I got. So when I went to this conference, I understand that there is a methodology, and that gave me, like confidence to start to implement this methodology in the company and try to transform the vision that they had about HR, because here in Latin America, I don't know if in the United States or Europe, but the people here said the women can understand math or numbers, and that's why we study human resources. So I want to challenge that vision, and try to get like equals in the table, and we can discuss all the numbers from the business and also from talent, and I can cross some insights that they didn't understand. So when I start to do that, they was like, oh, you know numbers, and I say always. Come on. So it was really funny because that methodology, I think, saved my life in that moment, because I got the confidence to talk about data like never before. Mhm.
Looks like you had just something you wanted to say about it, Mary.
No, I was laughing because she's numbers. I am more like I was a lot of numbers as well on my early career, and I'm now you have experienced it, Paola and Paola. I'm now paragraphs. I have turned to be paragraph, and that was why I was laughing. I tend to need to put things into words, and I was laughing because I believe that that first aha moment of wow was kind of funny, and I think that we all had this moment, and it's like it's interesting to see how we can continue to grow through the numbers and turn them into paragraph message insights. So I was just laughing about that,
Yeah. Well,
if that makes sense.
I'll put it back on you. How do you do that?
I don't know. I wish I could have the kind of the way to do that, like the recipe to have that. But one of the things that I noticed when I started my career is that I was really good on creating the charts. I was really good technically. I had like a really short learning curve on like adapting a new tool, learning how to do Visual Basic macros, learning how to utilize like an access that someone created 10 years ago. But then like what we do with that, like what how we can use that. And I think that that took longer in my career. Like my learning curve on doing the technical aspect was kind of shorter than the learning curve of like translating the message, utilizing what we have created, like what are we doing this for. And one of the things that I was a little bit emotional call the other day where I was hearing you with the other call about talking about the storytelling with data book, and I was like that kind of felt that I closed my circle. Like I read that book like a little bit like 10 years ago or so, and from there to now, I'm still learning how to put things into paragraphs. But that is so important on what we do and how we do it, and this way of trying to do it in the best way that we can, and like for us to have the impact. Because if not, we lose people on the road, and that is not what we want.
Well, you even wrote an article about that, right? And that's like one of the reasons why I even knew about you in the first place, Mary, is you might be the most prolific writer in people analytics right now, because I think you're putting something out like every few days. But
You are making me blush. But it's like this need of putting something available that I believe that I could have leveraged a lot. Like I do have like a website where I put different articles, and I also have a newsletter through
What's it called?
LinkedIn. And my Maria Nolazco Masson, that is my name. And the idea there is that for me to try to help thinking about like how we can put in easy words or like actionable and usable ways of working so that we can really put available for people different topics that are relevant for the area. And it's not only like for analytics, it's also technology, it's also how we adopt AI, how we take care of the data governance, how we utilize it for our operations teams. And my objective is try to put it into words that someone can help, and that for people is going to be practical and usable. I think that there are a lot of things going on, and I think that I got inspired on the way of like what I would have liked when I started my career to have available, and I try
Yeah.
to do it in that way.
Well, Paola, you're no slouch yourself. You've been organizing this upcoming conference in Costa Rica, as well as you're very involved in some of the community groups in Latin America as well. Can you talk about that at all?
Of course, I'm very proud about the community here in Latin America because it's like they're awaking right now or waking right now from a sleep. So that makes me really proud. Actually, Maria is one of the members in Latin America in this community, and she also teaches in Texas Tech University, the university where we are going to do this event in May. So why we are together in this? Because we have a purpose, as common purpose, and to transform the vision of the HR or people analytics professionals here in Latin America. We want to be seen and try to get these methodologies or insights from outside Latin America to Latin America and start to, spread the talking about what really matters in the future of work. So this event is gonna be in May, and we are expecting 300 HR or people analytics professional, and we are really happy to have you in that event. So because it's the first time here in Costa Rica that we are doing this, so everybody is expecting right now what is gonna be, and the people here in the community, they are so happy that we are trying to do this in Latin America, and also how we can grow together, because they can ask any question in the WhatsApp group, and someone is gonna answer, and they feel like confident to do the question, because they understand that everybody, as I say, we are getting in the plane in the same time. So we are in the same level of understanding and everything, so that makes the people to get more close, and that develop of this professional is better when you grow as a community.
Yeah. Well, I'll say for the people might be interested, because this episode is going to blow up in Latin America. Everybody's going to listen to it. Where can they find out more about the conference and who the speakers are? I tried to get Tyler Weeks involved. I think you guys saw that on the podcast.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
try to, but
Yeah.
but he has a really busy agenda.
Yeah.
But actually, I heard your last podcast with him. It was amazing. Yes, the people who's gonna join this event will be some of our actual teachers in Texas Tech University for the HR field, like Eric Madrigal. We used to be colleagues in the university when we study business administration, but now he is the vice president of talent in Nike for Asia and Latin American also. is gonna be there also the CEO of Great Place to Work for Latin America. He's gonna speak a little bit about future of work. Also, Sole Echeverria, she is one of my mentors here in Costa Rica, and she's gonna talk about the next hybrid workforce, like AI plus people, no, how to handle that as a manager. And we also gonna have a lot of people from the community of people analytics here. We are gonna have a panel where we're gonna discuss about the challenges, the learnings about people analytics until now, so they can, share what they are living in their companies and as a practitioner. So yeah, I think it's gonna be so exciting this event, and the people are right now engaging a lot, and you can find the information in the Texas Tech University website here in Costa Rica, but I can share it, later if you want to.
Absolutely.
I I do have a little bit of FOMO, like fear of missing this out because I'm not going to be able to attend.
No.
But I just, yeah, I just have like this question about, is this going to be recorded? Like, can we join virtually, or how will that set up like be fine? I'm sorry I'm asking you here, but I'm really interested on like being able to hear the conference.
Yeah, we will miss you. But yes, we will try to record some of those that are allowed to record because, some policies from some companies. But yes, we're going to record it so we can share it with the people.
Absolutely. Well, Paola mentioned something about what she's expecting with the conference. Mary, you're expecting something else. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yes, of course. I'm not going to be able to join as I'm expecting my second child. He should be coming on end of March or starting April, so I'm going to be like having the little one there, and that is why I won't be able to be joining. And I think that is a really important time of my life as well. And one of the things that I believe that is important for me to share is that the newsletter and my website that I started writing about started with this need when my first child was born. uh, I I was just thinking like, hey, we need to start thinking about the future leaders of our companies and of the world as well, how we can do for them like access to different things that like we know that they do have a lot of access of a lot of things that we like when I was born we didn't have access to that, like AI was even here, like Google was even here, like internet. I think that it wasn't even here when I was born. And then it's like how we can make them like knowledgeable of different things that can make their career path easier. So that was the first thing that my little one put the seed on when I started working again, after my maternity leave. And now I don't know what's coming after my second child is born. I was talking the other day with Cole, it might be a book, why not? Or I don't know, what could that be? I don't see myself writing a book. I don't think that I have the capabilities to do that. But why not? Maybe if I am inspired by my second one and I'm able to write something about about it. But yeah, that is kind of the reason why I'm not going to be able to join in Costa Rica the conference, but I will still be a professor for people analytics on the Texas Tech University in Costa Rica, and I will be also part of SPA and the different organizations I'm currently with.
Love it. That was one of the interesting things about prepping with both of you guys. So usually when I'm prepping for the podcast with somebody, they're trying to avoid any topics that might make them seem vulnerable, or just like things that they want to like, potentially worry about oversharing. Both of you all were like, no, we want to be vulnerable today. We want to share what it's really like. And so I really appreciate that from both of you. And one of the things that you mentioned is just like some of the things that make it challenging in terms of like the personal learnings that go into your career path in people analytics. Can you share some of those? And I'll start with you, Paola.
Well, I have a lot, but let me start with the importance of have the data well organized. For me, that's the foundation. And after that, um, try to guide the rest of the company. Because when you talk about turnover, you assume everybody understands turnover, but sometimes your clients doesn't. So that's why you have to understand first in human resources area what turnover means to your company, because sometimes it's different from every company. And then after that, you can guide them and understand how to get some information from the business and understand how the business get impact from turnover or headcount, whatever. And the third one is to create a culture, a data-driven culture, and because it's important to people to understand that there are responsibilities when you manage data and also limits. And that drive me to my fourth one, that is AI. For me, it has been amazing journey these 3 years since I start to study AI, and now with as we discussed some days ago, Claude with Excel, it's like a blow my mind. And because I it took me like several weeks to do something, with Excel and get the dashboard and get the insights and everything. And now in 30 minutes, I can get all the insights that I need from the data. So my concern right now with AI is how we're gonna, manage this, because everybody now can use this tool. I'm gonna say that, but it's like a ecosystem. So everybody can build something, and the companies are gonna have, like the same with Excels, a lot of GPTs or something like that, and how we're gonna manage this, so we can also get some benefit from that. So that's my concern right now, and I expect to learn about that in the future, because I think we need to jump in this area right now, and get the most benefit that we can with this ecosystem.
I just want to say, like, I'm so in admiration of you guys because I know English is a second language. And so it's just like coming on and doing a podcast, especially a highly technical podcast, is probably like so challenging. And so I just really appreciate you right now. But Mary, did you have anything you wanted to share in terms of like the things you were thinking about in your personal growth?
Um, yeah, and thank you for that. Like, you admiring us, I think that is in the other way. So I'm really humble of like you sharing that with us. I think that, and one of the benefits that LATAM has is that we are kind of strong in English because we start learning
Mm-hmm.
English since our like kinder three or something. So I went today to the meeting of the new year, because here in LATAM we are starting the year, like the educational year for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And my 3-year-old kid is going to have 1 hour per day of
Oh,
English,
wow.
and he's only 3 years old. So I kind of like wanted to share that with you as well.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I believe for me was critical and took me along, and I was sharing before, like some minutes ago, it's about how I was being like really able to build analysis, pull the data, create the charts, but I was really struggling with the influence. And I think that when we move towards our career and like we grow in the career, if we don't have influence, if we cannot influence on others, like we cannot work. We are going to just like be, and then all these tools that Paul was sharing about, like Claude and all the tools that are going to come, can do a lot of things that we were taught to do in our early stages. And now we have those tools, but now if you cannot translate, like if you just can see the inside, but you cannot get others to be there with them with the inside and try to translate them, that is not going to be like useful at all. So I think that my focus right now is like how we move from dashboards to kind of maturity on how like teams move like from how we have like descriptive reporting to how we can interpret it, like predict it, I don't know, and influence. And I think that that is really important, our focus on. I think that we don't need to have like the perfect data. We need to have curiosity. We need to have like consistency. We need to have like willingness to translate all that we are seeing. And it's about like trying to, like, I think that people analytics now is like more about trying to help people or someone make a better decision tomorrow than they made yesterday. And I think that we should try to communicate the message of like start small, kind of pick a problem, deliver one insight, improve like how we communicate it and build it from there. And I think that communication influence is kind of, or having this paragraph that I was mentioning before, kind of the key of everything, because I don't know from here to 5 years, and I don't want to frighten anyone, but are we going to have people analytics, as a field or not? And it's like, how it's going to be evolving. And I think that from LATAM, how quickly we can evolve as well is one of our main challenges.
What makes you even ask the question if people analytics will continue to be a field?
Is the AI going to replace, though, like, is like different tools going to replace us?
Is it?
Like, I understand that for me, AI is kind of a megaphone that strengthens what we are sharing. But if we have the correct data in the place that we have with the correct accesses, AI can amplify what we have there. And maybe all these, like all what we knew about the ETL, that is extract transform load, is going to be done directly by someone. So we might have like these people analytics speakers or translators or business partners, but are we really going to need someone knowing SQL or knowing how to build a dashboard, or is like the code AI going to make it for us? That is something that I really want to continue to learn SQL though, or Python, but what is going to happen there?
Can I say something about that? I don't think so, because right now I'm working with AI every single day, and they have a lot of errors, a lot, and you have to, always review the things that they, the outcome they give you. Always you have to, review what they saying, how they saying, because they don't have all the context that we do as a humans. So I think maybe we are gonna, transform our role into something more, you know I don't know, like uh, level two, something like that. Yeah, but to understand, or to guide these tools to in the context that we are, because they won't. I mean, they won't have the opportunity to understand all the context.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll bring you back in here, Mary. Then, um,
No, no. While she was sharing that, I was remembering how we need also to mentor our, like junior folks to do what they need. They don't have all the context. Like, I think that the parallelism about like AI, how we need to teach AI, plus how we need to encourage our junior folks to to avoid errors, to check the data. Like there are a lot of the kind of the we can have a parallelism there as well.
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, Mary, you were also a professional volleyball player at one point. Can you tell us about that? And does that relate at all to how you think about analytics?
A lot, a lot, a lot. Yes. The other day I was doing numbers and it was like almost 20 years ago, and I cannot believe I'm saying that because I was thinking about that. I used to play volleyball during my last years of college, and yeah, I really like it. I'm tall, so that my wife like really hate it helped as well. But I remember taking metrics, taking information about what's that our contrincants and us as well by paper. And in the middle, I will be talking to the other one that is on my right or my left. And then I might miss some information and I might put that information there because we needed all those 25 points of that set. So, and now I have been watching a lot of the US LOVV, the lab league. I really like it. And I have seen how metrics have shifted. Like there are these tools that already take metrics of like how is the speed of the ball, where it's like the percentage of possibilities that maybe the player doesn't know where the ball they're going to put the ball there because maybe they improvise in the moment, but the tool already knows which is the probability of that going in which area. And I think that better metrics is not going to like just describe performance. It's going to, like right now is changing how we play, and I think that in HR we're still like on pencil and paper mode in many places, and I think that we really need to understand that although the humans still decide, kind of AI, I think that is becoming kind of the coach of here. So for sure, I believe that kind of the data is reshaped by the strategy and the measurements shapes behavior as well. Because if they all know that I'm going to attack to some place, like I might think to doing it the other way, or I might train other strategy. And I think that is really important for us how we evolve there. And I don't know what is going to be on the future for the volleyball when my kids are going to be grown ups and playing it if they want to play that. So I'm really like excited to see what's coming for not only volleyball as well as the other different sports. The other day I was watching called the Super Bowl, and on the time offs, everyone was with their iPads. They were not talking between each other, and I was like really intrigued. Is this common? It was like, yeah, they are rewatching their plays or like talking about their strategies on the future. And it was like, but they are not talking as a team, and also how we can balance all those changes as well. So that caught my attention from the Super Bowl that I don't understand a lot American football, but I saw that as a key point.
That's fascinating. Well, do you guys want to join me in Cole's Corner?
Of course.
Of course.
Welcome to Cole's Corner. All right. Well, we're going to start out with some rapid fire. I'll alternate between who I go to first here, but the first question I've got, you start out, Paola.
Okay.
If you weren't in people analytics in Latin America, what would you have done with your career?
I think I will go for chef.
Yeah.
I like to cook a lot. And that same question, some days ago, my son asked me that, and I said the same. I like to cook. My grandmother teach me how to do it in the traditional way here in Costa Rica. So I like to do old recipes from her, and I have a book of her with all the recipes, and I like to do that. But also I like to learn some different culture recipes like Korean or Peruvian or Mexican. So yeah, I think I could see myself as a chef.
Absolutely. Well, what about you, Mary?
I want. I wish I would go through the like a travel guide, like for me to create travel itineraries and like packages for people, and for me to be the guidance through the different flights and like holiday that they would take. I really like traveling. I enjoy that. I enjoy meeting different cultures. So I think that if I were not to be here or if I were not to be playing volleyball, because still at my age I could be doing that, except that I had an injury like 20 years ago. If not, I think that I would love being like have a tourism company where I can help you, for example, call when you come to Buenos Aires. I can give you all the package, where to go, what I recommend, and do it like in a human way so that it adapts to what you would like and prefer. So I would love that.
Absolutely. All right, Mary, this one's for you first. What's the place you've never been to that you'd most like to go and why?
I, I want to go to India. I don't know if I would have the chance to go now because of my second kid, but that is a pending that I have had for a while. Back when I was in ExxonMobil, we worked a lot with people in Bangalore, and I really enjoy working there, like learning the culture. And I would love to go to the country and like meet the culture, learn and travel there. I don't think that I'm going to be able to do it soon like sooner than I would love to, but I think that that is one of my pendings of my life.
Yeah. What about you, Paula?
Switzerland.
There you go.
Yes, when I was in college, I dreamed to study there because I love Heidi. That that's the cartoon. No,
No.
well, it was really is I mean a huge cartoon about a little girl that live in the Alps there in Switzerland, and they
Yeah.
make cheese and everything. So I realized I want to go there and then study there, but I couldn't. I went to Spain,
Mm.
so I want to really bad go to Switzerland soon, because I want to take the train in the mountains and try to ski also or snowboard. Long time I don't get that bored, but I would try. And I think also the culture. I met some people from Switzerland, and I love the fondue. I love it, and how they reunite at nights and tell stories. I love that from Switzerland. Yes,
Nice.
yeah,
What about you, Cole? I hope you stay Buenos Aires for sure, but no pressure at all. What about you?
Well, since I'm already going to Costa Rica, I have to say Buenos Aires, right? So if I ever come
yeah.
down there, you have to take me around, Mary.
And we're
Yeah,
booked
I
in
would.
Costa Rica. Well, if Cole give me more days, I can, design everything from beaches to mountains and volcanoes.
Absolutely. Well, if you were a character in any book, TV show, or movie, who would you be and why? And Paola, I'll let you go first.
You're gonna laugh about that, but I would like to be a Storm Halle Berry. Uh, uh,
From X-Men? Oh, that's awesome.
yes, I love it. Because you can control, the weather. I mean, wow. So yeah, I would like to be Storm.
All right. I like it. What about you, Mary?
I would love to be Hermione Granger with the clock, where you can do a lot of things at the same time. Yeah, I would love to have that power of like, I don't know if you guys like pronounce it in that way, or how do you like, is the girl on Harry Potter?
Yeah,
Is
I
it
mean
okay,
the
correct?
in the movies they pronounce it Hermione, so I think you said it right.
Okay, okay, good. Because I wasn't sure, but the first, when you asked, the first thing that came into my mind was, I wish the day could have more hours. I wish I could have more flexibility in the hours that I have. And if I could stop and then have, because energy, I have a lot. So I can use my energy with other timing and like be in the same place at the same time that I would love to be honest. What about you?
Yeah. Well, I'll answer it in a future podcast. How about that?
Okay.
Um, so I got one big question for you both. I'm actually really curious what you say about this. So you are both more in tune with the people analytics community and LATAM than really anyone else. So what are kind of the hottest topics that are going on there, but also what is Latin America's secret weapon for people analytics that maybe other areas don't have?
I think the secret weapon is that we like to be in community. We really get to know each other, so we get confidence with the other side. And I think that's our secret. And the hot topics are like, I don't know where I can begin with people analytics in my company. Do I have to be data science to be in people analytics? Uh, um, that's the two that I remember right now. I don't know, Mary, with the students also.
for me, the kind of what we bring into the table is the curiosity that we have and the adaptability. Like LATAM is really used to need, like all the countries, like they have the same. We need to adapt. We have been adapting as countries, and not only talking about like inflation, that if we compare like US versus LATAM or like, but also like our lives, we need to adapt it. And I think that that flexibility is something that is needed also in this field because it is evolving all the time. It's not a field that is going to be shaped in this way now. So I think that it has been growing, and I think that that is one of the most important things that we bring into the table. Plus the language and the time zone difference that also gives us like a little bit of like green light for us. Like I don't know, I work from Buenos Aires, but the company I work for is in the US, so that is something that my English, my the time zone that I am, but also my skills allows me to do that.
Yeah.
And as hot topics, I think that we really need to understand how to go through from an Excel to something that gives us a little bit more of automation. And I think that we're going to be hearing a lot about like how we can do things with the same quality but in the less time. And I think that that needs to really evolve through that, like how we can start really measuring objectives that we have, how we can like start doing processes that is not going to take us redo them every time that we need to launch them as well.
Absolutely.
Also, how to convince the sea level. I don't know why, but yeah, they always ask about how I can build a storytelling that convince the sea level. That's other topic that they
Yeah.
always ask me.
Interesting. Hmm. Well, let's move on. Let's do some what am I reading? So the first one that I have for you all is it's from a LinkedIn post, which I'll get to in a second, but the article is called "Do People Listen to Cassandra? Persuasion and Accuracy in Geopolitical Forecasts." And this is from the Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin Journal by a few different authors, published last year. And this one is relevant for me because of my recent research called Fault Lines that came out. But the LinkedIn post that talks about this is from Minerva Psychology, and they did a really interesting breakdown in this article that why people can't recognize the truth when they see it. And so they said there's a disconnect between what persuades people and what makes a prediction about the future accurate. And so they found that looking into kind of these super forecasters, as they're called, the people that are super forecasters share some kind of general some characteristics in common. They have high rationality and expertise. They have high trustworthiness and motivation, and high emotional composure. But one of the things that they figured out in this study that where people kind of were swayed to predict the wrong things about the future is when people had high confidence in their results, even if they didn't have expertise. If they had high eloquence and fluency, again, the super forecasters who didn't have that weren't seen as credible, and that they were dissuading but irrelevant, meaning they would pick up on things that were irrelevant to the prediction and really overly focus on those things. And so the takeaway from this is that, you know, visual or valid or rational cues about things like expertise or rationality or trustworthiness or emotional composure, these are sometimes drowned out by people by other unreliable measures that are irrelevant, such as confidence or eloquence or dissuading, but irrelevant information. And so if you're really trying to forecast the future, basically focus on the facts. Well, what did you guys think about this article? And do you have any thoughts on super forecasting?
I agree with the article, and I don't want to go to politics, but that's what is happening right now in Latin America. The people see that the facts, the data, but they don't understand. They think the truth is in other way, and they build stories about that. And you can see it that also on LinkedIn. Sometimes I read some posts and I said, no, that data is not correct. And the people still engage because it was funny or because something superficial, was there, like, I don't know, like a trick or something like that, like a GIF. And I realized, like, oh my god, what is going on?
Yeah.
We need to think and to discuss and find the data and the facts, because we can, live in a second world where everything is like, you know uh, like a lie. So yeah, I couldn't agree more about that.
I I think that we often kind of confuse confidence finals with like actual predictive value. And in people analytics and in leadership as well, we kind of also overvalue like charisma or like strong narratives and executive presence or like this decisiveness. And we undervalue like the quiet evidence or the context and the interpretation. So I think that, yeah, it's interesting that you're bringing it up because it's kind of like how we were talking about, like, we also undervalue like being this directionally correct. And I'm giving the name of the podcast as well, but like having enough signal or context or humility to move a decision forward, even when the answer isn't perfect. And I think that that is really important.
Yeah. What I took away from that is I just need to focus more on being funnier, charismatic, and having better gifts, and I'll be more influential. So there you go. That's what we got to do. No need to be right.
Hi, I'm Stacey Nordwall, host of Toot or Boot, the show that boots burnout culture and calls out corporate nonsense. Each week, I talk with bold leaders and good troublemakers who are rewriting the rules of work. We dig into what's broken, what's working, and how to build something better, with a mix of practical advice and humor. If you're ready for a healthier, more human workplace, this is your show.
But well, let's
Yeah.
go ahead and do the next one. So we've got a post on by Nigel Gwinnell. He talks about this article that came out in 2008 in Organizational Science called "Unpacking Prior Experience: How Career History Affects Job Performance." So again, kind of some seminal research on career experiences. And what he finds here, he puts this overview model. And by the way, you mentioned Power of People earlier, Paola. And Nigel was one of the authors of that book, along with Jonathan Farrar. So, kind of going full circle in this episode. But this is a really simple point, but I think it's so powerful. And so, Nigel asked the question: how much does the length of experience matter for performance? And they show the model that predicts this from the research article. But the results say not much once you've measured worker knowledge and skill. What's left after that is inflexibility from prior experience that negatively affects performance. So if you so length of experience doesn't really matter as long as you have the knowledge and the skills of the position, and it can actually be a hindrance to performance if you're inflexible. What do you guys think about this one?
I think that we tend to assume that years equals more performance, but here, like, what really matters is how this experience translates to learning, adaptability, decision quality. I think that experience is useful, don't get me wrong, but it's not linear. And this is kind of not going to help us like automatically predict, like for it to be automatically predicted. So I think that we tend to think that like seniority is kind of like conflated with competence, and it might not be in that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you have to study. Also, not only have the experience, you have to study and be aware about any others kind of view of some topic. Also, to listen a lot. And why I said that, because in my own experience, I learned from the best because LinkedIn, was alive. So I can talk with David Green. For me, is my hero. So I was like, oh my God, I can talk with him and I can, realize things that I didn't know. And I can, take those insights into my company also and for my learning. So it's not like Mary said, it's not like a linear journey. It's like a bumpy journey that you have to experience with all the resources that you have next to you. That's what I can say about that.
Yeah, and to add, I think that we often reward tenure because it feels like more safe or credible. But if we are not careful, I think that we end up measuring time instead of impact that someone can bring to the table. So, uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to also see the potential and performance. That question always comes. But sometimes you have to see also the potential, not only the person, because that's what the humans wants. We want to develop. So yeah.
Yeah. We're getting into like the classic debates in HR going way back. Well, let me hit you with the last one. Um, I don't know. I feel like I just do like some myth busting on here sometimes. But this article is called "Learning Styles, Preferences, or Strategies: An Explanation for the Resurgence of Styles Across Many Meta-Analyses." And so this is an educational psychology review. And John Whitfield put together this post that said 93% of teachers still believe students learn better when taught in their preferred learning style. I don't know how common this is in Latin America, but learning styles are pretty common in the United States. Yet meta-analyses show that the meshing hypothesis, i.e., like showing the teacher teaching your style to your learning style, has almost zero impact on achievement. And so this new paper shows why, and basically says we should not perpetuate myths, unsupported claims, or wishful beliefs. The key themes are that the meshing hypothesis is debunked, teaching to preferred styles doesn't improve outcomes, correlation is not causation, studies confuse preference with performance without proving effectiveness. So it makes sense that people have their own preferences, but that doesn't mean that it will necessarily affect performance, and that the strategies you use to bring about learning trump the style that you use. And things like self-regulation, deep learning, and feedback have much stronger effects than learning styles for learning actually coming into effect. What do you guys think about this one?
Well, as a teacher, I can say that I tried all the different types of learning in my classes because sometimes maybe you have a favorite one, but you can develop the second one. So that's why I like to experience with them all kind of tools. And also, I think the feedback is a really good resource for them because they are curious about things that are going on their mind, sorry, and also about the context. So they ask a lot of questions, and they are expecting feedback in a place where they feel safe, like a class.
Yeah. Well, what do you think, Mary?
I want to read the whole article, to be totally honest. I'm really intrigued to know like deeper, but also I think that it's a great example of how HR sometimes kind of confuses preference with performance.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like learning styles feel a little bit intuitive if they are respectful and personalized, but the data shows that matching style to preference that doesn't necessarily like improve outcomes. And for me, the bigger lesson here is we should design around what works for the task and not what feels comfortable for the individual itself. Like putting first evidence versus intuition. I think that is
Yeah.
important.
You guys are so practical. I love it. Talking to some practical people on a practical podcast. This is my kind of people. I think you both had different questions for me. Do you want to wrap up there? What did you want to ask, Mary?
I do have a question for you. I know that you have talked about like moving people analytics from simple facts to strategic insights, and even reading about like why most current people analytics work isn't truly forecasting or predictive. So I want to ask you, if I may, what's the single biggest misstep that you have seen teams make when they are trying to be strategic with the people data, and what's one belief you think the field needs to drop?
Yeah, I think so. The first mistake that people make before they make a strategic mistake is just learning all the technical skills, and that's going to somehow translate into making an impact, right? But the first strategic mistake that many people make is that they think that, oh, it's not just the technical skills that matter anymore. And now I'm going to be super strategic. But because I'm being super strategic, everyone's going to listen to me and they're going to want to hear what I have to say. And the reality is, nope, they're not.
No one.
And so the real reality, which actually is kind of funny, goes full circle to what we were saying about using better gifts and being funnier and having charisma. The irony is, even if you have the right data and you're making the right forecasts, people might not necessarily listen to you unless you have the charisma and have the influence. And so I've spent a lot of let's call it the last 10 years of my life, really trying to improve those skills, even though I know they're not necessarily making my forecasts or my technical skills better, but they do make me more effective in the real world, which is kind of the purpose for that article that I shared in the first place. So really good tie back there. Do you have any thoughts on that, Mary?
I think that it's important while you're mentioning, like, and I was thinking about also my career, like the balancing between the two things.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not only like the technical aspect, but also how we can translate it, how we can impact. And maybe this charisma, like adaptability, something that we need to have for us to have influence in others.
Yeah.
And Pao was also talking about like how we can influence the C level for them like to understand why it's important people analytics. And we are like going all over the same thing. I think that we need to understand data. We need to understand how to use it. We need to understand how to have a good data quality. We all really need to understand that, but we also need to understand how we can impact on others. So I think that finding kind of the right balance, or like understanding where you are standing from. Maybe we all have this charisma that is with us, so we need to focus on the more technical part for us to, with the charisma, don't like lose the people because they don't trust us, or in the other way, like if they cannot understand what we are talking about, and for them is another language, how we can get to our audience. I think that finding the correct balance there, I think that is kind of key for the future professionals in this field.
Absolutely. Paola, I think you had a question too. What is yours?
Yes, I do. Many HR leaders, especially in emerging markets, feel expected to speak data without always having the foundation or the confidence that we're talking about right now. From your perspective, what separates those who successfully develop the analytic voice from those who remain hesitant or intimidated?
Yeah. It's an interesting question. It's kind of related to Mary's in a way, um, because it is related to confidence, right? And potentially the charisma, but it's actually a different answer in the sense that I always just say it's repetitions, right? And risk taking. So in the beginning, it's risk taking because you have to be willing to share at all, right? And that feels like you're taking a risk, and you may put your foot in your mouth. You may say something that doesn't represent you in your best light, but you have to be willing to do that regardless. After that, though, it's all about repetitions. And the thing I always tell people about imposter syndrome in particular is you can't have imposter syndrome if you've done something so many times you're bored by it, right? So if you have extreme confidence, you've done what they call overlearning, which again kind of goes back to what we were saying about successful learning styles. Overlearning is the ability of doing something so many times that you're bored, right? You could do it in your sleep. Well, guess what? If you have the repetitions that you've done something so many times, you're not going to feel hesitant or intimidated by it any longer. And so the reality is you have to be willing to take the risk, and you have to be willing to put in the reps, and then these things won't matter any longer. Does that resonate with you, Paola?
A lot. I actually had one moment, no, several moments with the CFO where I gave, some numbers and he said, "Are you sure? Is
Mm-hmm.
that the number?" And I said, "Well, I take the risk. I try to, build the model and everything. And if you not agree with my number, we can discuss that." But, you know, when I said that, it took me a lot of years of, risking and be
Yeah.
vulnerable.
Okay.
First time are tough. Yeah, like every time that we do something for the first time is really tough. It doesn't make like our second time less tougher than, but what it does is like to give you like a little bit more experience of what you have learned. You could have done better. You could adapt or do it in another way. And this is not only like in our day-to-day like professional lives, but also in our personal lives. Like that is what we need to do, like learn about what we did, what we could have done differently with the context that we had at that time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, this has been fantastic having you both on the podcast as guests. I've known you both for a little while now. I want to make sure we promote, Mary, your blog and your website. Fantastic. Paola, and both of you are involved in Texas Tech, Costa Rica program. So if anybody's wanting to pursue, continuing education, definitely get involved there. Check out the Costa Rica conference that we've got coming up as well that we'll link to and everything else. Anything else you guys want to promote, and where can people find you if they want to reach out?
I want to promote my community also, our
Oh, yeah.
community. SAP for Latin American. You can reach Mary or me if you want to be part of that. And thank you, Cole, for giving us this opportunity to be, seen. That's what we're looking for here in Latin America, to be seen, and they understand that we are a talent also that are trying to get into, the next future of work. Thank you so much, and thank you, all the people that are listening us.
Oh, that's so sweet. What about you, Mary?
Um, you can all contact me through LinkedIn. I'm available through there. I really try to answer all the messages that I have. I have been having like a pace of like a little bit more like with days, but the idea is that you can read me through there. You can follow my newsletter where I do put some articles there as well. So looking forward to connect. And again, like as Paul said, I'm really grateful for this opportunity. Hoping our English was good enough for you all to understand. And it was at least my first time doing a podcast, so I really enjoyed it as well. So I had a little bit of imposter syndrome, to be honest, but now I can do as many podcasts as needed because I have already been through the first time. So
Yeah.
that is great. And thank you for that opportunity.
You took the risk. Now you got to get the reps in. That's all it takes. But I appreciate you both. This has been a lot of fun. So you've been listening to Directionally Correct, a People Analytics podcast with your host, Cole Napper, and today's guests, Mary and Paola. Thanks for joining me today.